What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie that I have been looking forward to watching all year long. And this is from director Stephen Cognetti. And this is the newest film in his Hell House LLC series. And I've talked about this series a multitude of times on my channel. The original Hell House LLC is like one of my favorite found footage films of all time. I loved Carmichael Manor. And there are things about the second and third films that I really appreciate. I think it's just a really fun series of movies that I like the lore, I like the setting, I like the way that the characters feel like natural, real human beings. And so when they're put in situations of peril, it's very, entertaining to watch because you actually feel genuinely invested. And Cognetti's not someone who, throughout his career, has been reliant on jump scares. So much about what makes his films effective, in my personal opinion, is the atmosphere and the way that the camera holds on horrific imagery so that you feel something unsettling as you're watching rather than just image accompanied by a loud noise. And so I've always been a fan of his films. I really wanted to watch this when it initially came to theaters, but it had such a limited run. I didn't get the opportunity. So it finally dropped on Shudder. I wanted to watch it immediately as soon as it was uploaded. And the film I'm going to be telling you about today is Hell House LLC Lineage. Hell House LLC Lineage is directed by Stephen Cognetti. After a near-death experience, Vanessa Shepard faces nightmares in Abaddon. As mysterious deaths occur around her, she discovers her connections to the Abaddon Hotel, Carmichael Manor, and decades of unexplained murders. So, like I said, I was really excited to watch this movie. The Hell House LLC franchise is like one of my favorite found footage franchises. I love those movies. I find them to be really great. And I had a bit of hesitation going into this movie because Cognetti departed from the found footage format, was kind of taking a different approach to this movie. I watched his first non-found footage film, 825 Forest Road, which was also on Shudder, and I was not a fan of that whatsoever. There was still some good atmosphere and moments that I could appreciate, but the screenplay was a mess. It was just kind of all over the place, really hard to get invested, and I was worried that that was going to happen with this film. And unfortunately, my worries came to life in this. This is my biggest disappointment of the year. This movie is genuinely awful in every conceivable way. I really don't know what was going through Steven's mind when he made this movie. I don't feel like any of the lore that they add on to the Abaddon or the Carmichael is all that interesting. I feel like they want you to come into the film having complete and total knowledge of all four movies like you just watched them yesterday. There's so much thrown at you. Like, some of the things that are put into the movie, it's easy to kind of build in your mind, but like you're getting so much exposition with so little payoff, and it just all of it is seemingly so inconsequential. And the other issue that I have with this movie is where House does so many things that I feel like are really special when it comes to the way that it builds up tension and suspense, the way that these movies scare you. And this film is like every horror cliche build up into one thing. Like nothing that makes the Hell House film special are in this movie other than the creepy clowns, and they're utilized in a way that you see in every other horror movie that gets released nowadays. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when I break the movie down. So in Hell House LLC Lineage, we are reintroduced to Vanessa Shepard, who a lot of you might not remember, but is the character from Hell House LLC 3, who was one of the very few people to actually survive the Abaddon Hotel after the instances that she lived through. And we see her early on in the movie. She's going to therapy. She's having a lot of trauma surrounding the experiences that she faced while she was at the Abaddon. And weird things are happening in this community, and people are getting killed off one by one. And Vanessa believes that it has something to do with the events at the Abaddon and the events at the Carmichael Manor, where the characters we saw in that movie were killed off. And so the entirety of the film is Vanessa kind of doing her own investigation with some certain characters in the film to find out what is actually happening in this community and how could she possibly be tied to the events happening at the Carmichael and at the Abaddon Hotel. So like I said, this movie was genuinely terrible, and I really don't have a lot of positives to say about it, but I will say the initial scene in the movie, the very beginning, the kind of kickoff, this man stumbling across the like carnival game that these clowns, were established at. Really great at sort of drawing you into the movie and creating that atmosphere that I love so much about Cognetti's ability as a director to create. And there's moments like that. There's one that was in the trailer at a drive-in movie theater. There's like a couple of moments like that that I think Cognetti showcases that abandoning the found footage format and doing, traditional narrative filmmaking, he is capable of doing that. There's a lot of moments in this where there's some baffling choices when it comes to like lenses and like where things are framed that I just couldn't comprehend why it sort of took me out of the movie. But in those particular scenes, I feel like they were executed in a way that was very successful and that I appreciated. But that is really where my positives end. I don't really have anything else nice to say about this movie because it's just really bad. For one, none of the performances in this film are particularly good. I feel like the best performances in the movie are the characters that come back from the Carmichael in those flashback scenes. Most of the other performances in this are just really sort of uninspired and flat, and it makes it very difficult to stay invested. I also think Cognetti's biggest issue with this movie is picking a character from probably the least liked film in the entire franchise to follow. I could not care less what was happening to her through the movie. I did not find her interesting. I didn't find her charismatic. It's like they really just wanted you to rely on the fact that she experienced trauma. And I understand when you're a filmmaker and you're creating a series of films, like you're going to listen to audience reactions and try to adjust. And I do think Cognetti did that because if you look at the third movie and kind of how that was really the lowest quality film in the original four movies, Carmichael is like way, way better in every conceivable way. Atmosphere, the way that it's shot, the performances that he got from the actors. So it's clear that he took the critiques from the third film and sort of built on those. But this just feels like it was going in the complete opposite direction. You're choosing the worst characters to follow, just like the way this is shot. Like I said, there are moments that I was really impressed, but like for the most part, it's very dull, it's very flat, it doesn't have a whole lot of atmosphere. You can really guess where things are going to show up in the frame and how he's going to attempt to scare you in particular moments, which is another reason why I just found like the movie was kind of a mess, because so much of the scares in the film were really predictable. And in A25 Forest Road, which like I said was Cognetti's first departure from the found footage format, that movie had a lot of cliched jump scares in it and really things that I'm not used to with how Steven approaches filmmaking. And this in particular was just droves of just nonsense that you see in every other horror movie. But the biggest problem with this, unfortunately, is it's incredibly boring. I feel like none of the information that is being conveyed to you through the expositional dialogue is all that interesting. There's a scene where our lead character is sitting at a table with another character you're introduced to later, and she's just giving you droves and droves of expositional dialogue that it's just none of it is interesting enough to keep you engaged into the story. It's just like providing this nonsensical context so that the movie can exist for some reason. And what's sort of irritating about this is I feel like, as far as the Carmichael is concerned in relation to the Abaddon, I feel like the Carmichael Manor did an excellent job tying these together to where you don't really need anything else. The series has given you everything that you needed to know about like the demons and the people involved in summoning these demons and just everything about that. So any other movies that are being created, I feel like it would be so much more fun to just kind of go back to the formula of like people stumbling into the Abaddon and the Carmichael and like experiencing that. I don't really care about the lore. To me, this is sort of similar to how I feel about the later installments in the Halloween franchise. I don't care about Michael Myers as a character. I don't think he's interesting. I don't think his backstory or his lore is fascinating. If I'm going to watch a Halloween movie, I would prefer it just to be atmospheric, horrifying with the kills, great character writing with the people that he's coming after. And that's similar to the best things about this installment. The best thing about this franchise, what I loved about the Carmichael Manor is I loved the characters. I thought the establishment was great. I thought the tension Cognetti built between those characters was excellent. There was just so much about that movie that felt alive and exciting and fresh. And this just felt very stale, unfortunately. There's nothing really about it that's worth your time. I feel like even if you're a fan of this franchise, just skip it. It is the worst in the entire series. It's not even close. This movie is awful, and I would probably never watch it again. So have you seen Hell House LLC Lineage? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I did not like this movie at all, and I'm incredibly disappointed because of how much I loved the franchise. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.